Hello there. Welcome back to How to Code a Hacked Client on Mac. In this episode, we're going to get our tab GUI, and we're also going to include our first hacks. So let's just get straight into it. So we're going to start off with the tab GUI. For the tab GUI, we need to figure out how to render a box. And for that, we need the abstract GUI class down here. So we're going to extend that, abstract GUI. And this will just allow us to use a function called fill, and that just makes a box. So I'm going to use that function, fill, and we're going to make some parameters. First off, actually, let's make a public int for modules. So this will be how many modules we currently have, so that it draws the box appropriately. We'll have one module for now, and that's going to be, we're going to start off by making Fulbright, and then we'll make auto sprint and fly, and that should be good. So we need to pass in the matrix stack. Then we need to pass in the minimum x value. So that will be 4. We're going to space it off the wall. In fact, we're going to give our text some space. So we're going to set it to 2 so that we have like a little bit of margin and it doesn't just squeeze onto the corner. That would be rather unneat. Then the minimum y is going to be 4, which is this. So it's going to be 4 plus 14, because that's the width of this. It's going to be 4 plus 14 plus 4, but then we've got to give it some space, otherwise it looks clumped up, so it's actually going to be plus 2. So that's just going to turn out to 20. So 20 in there. And then we have to put in the maximum x. So that's going to be the maximum x is quite literally just going to be the size of the biggest text in there. So currently, that will be auto sprint. So I'll just say our font renderer .get string width, and I'm going to say auto sprint. Just like that. And I'm going to add 2 to it because of that. In fact, I'm going to actually add 6 to it so that we can give it some space. Of course, we need that. And then for the maximum y, we're going to add on to that. So it's going to be 20 plus, and then we're going to make space accordingly for how many modules we have. So each of the text's widths would be 14. We've got to give them space in between, so it's going to be 14 plus 2. So 16 times modules. And yep, there we go. And that should give appropriate space for each one of them. And finally, we need to do the color. So I'm going to make it this dark gray color. So I'm going to say color.hsb to RGB. And I'm going to put in 0 for the hue, 0 for the saturation, and 0.33 float for the brightness. And that should give me a gray color. Then let's put the auto sprint text into the GUI. Or into the tab GUI. So let's just do f.drawString with shadow. And I will do here the matrix, then auto sprint, and then we have to put in the location of the text. So it's going to be minimum x 4. We gave it space here, as you can see, and then minimum y 22, and then this should perfectly fit inside of the boundaries that we set. And then the color, let's give it a rainbow. So get rainbow, and this time we're going to set it to 1. So that it starts this wavy effect. And there we go. Should be good. And now let's actually code the auto sprint mod. So we need to do a public boolean auto sprint. It's going to be set to false for now. And actually, we're going to have to modify this chunk of code right here. So we're going to say over here if auto sprint. So that means auto sprint is active. Then we're just, instead of having it rainbow, we're actually just going to say white. So that's -1. And then else, so that means it is not activated. So then we can put in the rainbow. So that's just going to like act as a toggle. If it's on, it's going to be white so that we can see that in the tab GUI. And there we go. That should be good. Now we need to make a system where we can turn it off and on and off, and then we can create how it works. So for that, we're going to use a selector. So for this selector, I'm going to have to make another integer. So I'm actually gonna do that up here. So public int, and I'm going to call it selector, and it's going to be at index 1. So this is just going to be like the parameters for where it currently is at, and that's how we're going to select everything. So in here, I'm just going to go ahead and include that. So let's fill out a box, and it's going to be M. The minimum X is still going to be 2, and the max, I'm going to just put X in here, and the maximum X will still be the exact same thing because X parameters don't change when you're moving vertically. But we are going to need to change the vertical parameters. So this, instead of 20, it's going to be our neat little formula. So it's going to be 4 plus 16, 4 plus 14 plus 2, but we're going to need to incorporate selector in there. So each of them are spaced apart by 14. So I'm going to have to make the selector go by 14. But since we said we were going to space it out by 16, we're going to space it out by 16 each time. So 4 plus 16 times selector minus 1 should do the trick. So for the first one, it's going to, the minimum Y will be, oh no, it needs to be selector then, sorry. So I can actually just get rid of that. So at the first one, it's going to be at 4. So it's going to be at 4 plus 16, 20. So that's correct. At the next one, it's going to be at the one below that, which is quite literally should be that one. So let's set the max Y now. It's quite literally just going to be this, but then plus 1. So we're going to put that in there. And this time we need selector plus 1. So I'm going to do that right there. And perfect. And finally, we need to include the color. Let's make it white. It's gonna be white so that we can distinguish it. So -1. So it should draw this first, then it should draw this overlapping it, and then it should draw our text overlapping that. So that should look just as planned. So there we go. Now that we have this, we need a way to change this. We need a way to go between the selectors. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new function to handle that. I'm going to call it public void handle selections. And in here, we're going to need to figure out how to detect key input. So for this, what I'm thinking is we can use I, K, L, and J, or IJKL, but this will not include the J, we'll just need the L as a toggle, and I and K can be up and down. So we'll get back to this function later. In fact, we could put it up here actually. So I could just say up here, handle selections. There we go. And that should be good. So now we need to figure out how to get key input. To do this, we need to go to navigate, and we need to find a file called game settings. So let's search that up. There it is, game settings. That is what we need. So in here, there should be a bunch of variables, but there is, as you can see, key binding variables. So there's going to be key bind forward. We could just take that quite literally as an example, and we could just copy paste that and change it to whatever we need. The next thing we need to do is go to navigate, file, and we're going to need to search up for key, because now we need something else. So I'm pretty sure it should be key binding. There it is, yep. So inside of key binding, in this area here, category order, we're going to need to make a new category. So I'm going to make a new category, label it as 8, and we're going to name it hacks. Or you can name it whatever you want. Hacks, I think, suits. So I'm going to go back to game settings and just copy that because I had to copy the other one. So gimme. There we go. We can come back to our client and we can make 3 new variables, which will be our keybinds. So let's just say key up, key down, and key select. So the description is going to be hacks.I. I think that suits. Then we need to figure out the key code. For this, we can come over to our browser and search up key code finder. and come to this website, toptal.com, and just quite literally, it's very handy. All you have to do is press the key. So I'll press I, and we get 73, sorry. And then K is 75 and L is 76. So 73, 75, 76. Quite literally, very epic. So let's include those. So for key I, that'll be 73. I'm going to actually change this to key, so categories.hacks, which is what we changed it to in key bindings. Yep. So actually, we don't need these winders anymore. I'll just delete those. So there we go. Now we can create a copy paste of that for key down, and I'll name this one K. K was 75, so I'll change that to 75. And then finally we have key select, so it's going to be L, and that was 76, and hacks. Perfect. So this is all sorted. We don't need this to be final. I mean, preferably final, but we do not need it to be. So I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that. Perfect. We have key up, key down, and key select. So now we can come over to our handle selections area, and we can handle the selections. So I'm actually gonna just change this selector thing to 2, and the modules to 2, so that we have room to select between. And I'll include our next module, which will be Fulbright. So I'll just say if Fulbright. I'll need to make a new boolean for that too. So there we go, Fulbright, just like that. And we'll change the text to Fulbright. Fulbright, perfect. And we'll have to change the location of it too, because it's going to be lower. So this was 22. So the X should stay the same, but the Y should not be that. It should be plus 16. Because it's one module down. Yeah, that should be it. Okay, if it's not, we can fix that later. So there we go. That should suit just perfect. And in here in handle selections, we can simply just say if the key up is pressed, we'll go up, and if key down is pressed, we'll go down. So in here, I'll just say if key I, so it's the up one, sorry, key up dot is pressed, that's the function. So if key up is pressed, then we need to make this thing go up. So we can make it go up, but here's the problem. If it's already at the top and it goes up, it's going to go out of bounds. So we need to detect that. So if selector is smaller or equal to 1, so it's at the border, and then it's pressed. So if it's at if it's smaller or equal to 1, then it's gonna just jump right back down. So over here, I'm just going to say selector is going to equal the amount of modules, so that's just going to be at the top. So selector equals modules, and then else, that means that it's not there yet and it's still fine to move around. Then selector is just going to say minus minus. That's going to make it go down. And then we can quite literally just copy paste this for if key down is pressed. Then over here, if selector is greater or equal to modules, then I can just say selector is equal to 1, otherwise selector plus plus. And the up and down is now situated for. And then we need to now configure for when we press L. So that's like selecting stuff. So I need to say if key select dot is pressed, then we're gonna need to detect which one it is and then change the variables accordingly. So here's how we're gonna do it. If selector equals 1, then I'm gonna do this as one line code. So if selector is 1, that means we're at auto sprint. So auto sprint equals not auto sprint. So that should like toggle it. If it's true, then it's false. If it's false, then it's true. And then I'll make another one. If selector is 2, then full bright will get toggled. So full bright is not full bright. Perfect. So now we just need to code the silly little modules. So back in here, I'm going to just say handle modules. That's a new function we'll create. And then I'll scroll down to here and I'll say public void handle modules. Handle modules. Perfect. And this will quite literally just say if something is activated, then we'll like make it work. So start with auto sprint. If auto sprint, so that means if it's on, then I just need to say Minecraft. We're gonna get Minecraft here. Dot get instance. So that's gonna get the current Minecraft. Dot player. We're gonna find the player. Dot, and we should be able to find, yep, set sprinting. That's just what we need, and we're gonna set that to true, just like that. And that's auto sprint done. Seems to be a little bit of an error here. That's fine. So there we go. That is done. And then we need to do for full bright. So this one is different. We can't just do one. We need to do an if-else statement. Because if full bright isn't on, we need to switch it back. So I'm just going to, in fact, I'm actually just going to go ahead and come up here. And I'm going to say public int brightness default. And I'm going to set that to 0. But when the client starts up, we're going to get that. We're going to get that value. So I'm just going to go ahead and say brightness default is going to be equal to Minecraft.get Minecraft, get instance, sorry. And then we're going to say, should be current screen. Let's have a look. No, it should be gamma. Okay, so it's not there. So it should be current screen then. Current screen dot. Nope. Is it player? Dot gamma. Where is gamma? Sound weird saying that. Oh, it's in-game GUI. No? No way. Okay, there we go. We found it. Okay, for the brightness, we're gonna need to go ahead and do Minecraft.getInstance.gameSettings.gamma. And that's just gonna go ahead and get the gamma value. That's gonna give us a double. So I'm just actually gonna go ahead and change that to an int. Perfection. Alright. Actually, you know what? Let's set this to a double, just so that we can like deal with that. So we don't actually need to cause that anymore. Perfect. So public double brightness default, and brightness default is going to be the gamma. So then over here, I'm just going to say if full bright, Minecraft.getInstance.gameSettings.gamma is going to equal like 100,000. Is that 100,000? No, that's a million. Okay, perfect. Else Minecraft.getInstance.gameSettings.gamma is going to equal brightness default. And that should work for full bright. So now that all of that's done, let's test it out, see if there's any errors, and debug from there. Oh, well, would you look at that? So we have our GUI at the top. So if we use I and K, you can see we can navigate around. So I'm pressing K right now. It's not that obvious which one I'm pressing because they're like right next to each other, but that's working. If I press L, for example, auto sprint works. So if I press L, you can see now the text turns white and I'm automatically sprinting no matter what. And let's test out full bright. So it's kind of obvious when I activate full bright, as you can see. Ocean kind of lights up like crap. So, yep, there we go. I'll dig myself a little hole. Actually, I'll set it to night and test it out. So, I'll say time set midnight. And let's test out the Fulbright. So if I turn on Fulbright, yeah, no, that's definitely working. And I'm not sprinting currently, but as soon as I turn on auto sprint, no matter what, I am sprinting. Pretty cool, huh? So there we go. The hacks are working. So that's pretty pleasant to know. So yeah. So that's working. Now all we need to do is create like a hack list down here to show what hacks we have enabled. And then we'll also create the last one, which will be flight. So let's come back in here, get the cursor. You know what? Let's actually do flight right now. So I'll have to change some stuff. So hello, thank you very much. So modules will now be free. We'll make a new public boolean called flight, and this will be true. Oh my god. This will be false, sorry. So there we go. Now we'll make a new one of these, copy paste moment, and this will be flight. If flight, and draw flight, and then plus 32, because that's 16 times 2. Flight. Yep, that's all good. Perfect. And yep, this is automatically taken care of. And then let's make a new one of these here. So if selector is free, then flight is equal to not flight, so that toggles it. So there we go. And now let's do if flight. If flight. And okay, so to get the flight, very simple. You just need to go Minecraft.getInstance, and you need to go to the player, and then you need to say .setNoGravity, and go ahead and say true for that. And that should enable flight. And of course, we have to put an else here so that when you turn it off, and I'll just put that in here, and then false. And there you go. That is an easy way to get flight. Perfecto. So now that that's done, and that will work, now that that's done, we just need to make a list of mods right below our text, or right below this. So that will display everything. So for this, we just need to do a series of if statements. So first one, we'll actually create a variable over here, and we'll say int index equals 0. So for the first one, it's auto sprint. So if auto sprint, then we will just display a string. So f.drawString with shadow. In fact, sorry, give me a second. I completely forgot about this for a while now. This needs to be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So there we go. I'll just do that. And then we'll draw a string with the shadow. So it starts at, we need to make it start at 1, sorry. So index equals 1. So in here, we'll pass in that. So auto sprint. So auto sprint, just like it is up here. Then the minimum x will be 4, like usual. And then the minimum y is going to be the bottom of this. So it's going to be the bottom of our main GUI. So it's going to be this. It'll be the bottom of that. Plus 4. So I'll put 24 over here. And then plus 16 times. So it's going to be, actually I could do this here using mathematic. So it's going to be 16 times by modules plus index. There we go, that should fit. And then finally we need the color, so it's going to be get rainbow. And it's going to be free plus index. That's why we set it to 1. And then I'll just go ahead, and over here I'll just say index plus plus. And that's sorted. Why is it grayed out? Let me just check. Yes, it is. Silly little man. Alright then. I'll just copy paste that a few times. And over here, if it's full bright, and then here if flight. And then I'll just replace the text with the appropriate thing. And then here this will be flight. And this should quite literally just take care of everything that we need. So yeah, there we go. So now the mod list is done. And yep. So I want to actually create one last module, the coordinates module. This is something that I think is essential for every single damn Minecrafter. So let's do that right now. So I'll come over here. Modules is 4. And again, we'll need to make a new variable here. So this will be coordinates. And that is now the longest. So I'm just going to go ahead and organize that. So now since coordinates is the longest, that's what we're going to base off all of the widths off of. So it's no longer auto sprint, it's going to be coordinates. So I will use that quite a bit. In fact, I think that's the only time I will end up using it, so that's there. And there we go. And then I'll copy paste this for coordinates. Coordinates. There we go. And this should be now 4. 4. There we go. In fact, I'm going to put this at the top and I'm going to shift everything down by 1. So 2, 3, 4. There we go. And I'm going to put the coordinates at the top so it's nice and neat. I don't know. I think that looks good. So there we go. And this will be 22. And this ought to be 22 plus 16. I'm going to use this a lot now. So boom, 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 boom. Perfect. So now it's there. And then we'll add one for coordinates. We'll have to put it we'll have to put it at the top here. There we go. If coordinates. And then that. And that should work. We just need to say 4 for this now because there's 4 modules. In fact, I'll do this. Modules plus index. That should work better. Perfect. And that's done now. Then I'll need to make a new case for coordinates. Selector is 4. Then coordinates. But since I placed coordinates at the top, I'm going to need to put this up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So the keys are done now. Now we need to do the handling. This will be the hardest one. So we're actually going to need to use font render and matrix stack for this. So font render F, matrix stack M. And let's come back up here and pass those in. F and M. Perfecto. Perfecto pistachio. There we go. And I'll come back down here. And I'll say if coordinates. This is going to take a little bit. So the first one that we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a decimal format. So I'm going to say decimal format df equals new decimal format. And we're going to say 0.0. So this will just leave 1 decimal behind when we format each of them. So there we go. Then we're going to say, we're going to get string. X is going to be X. And then, actually I'm going to do it like this. X plus, and then we're going to say Minecraft.getInstance.getPosX. So that's going to get the X position. But we want to format it with this. So I'm going to say string.valueOf. So that's going to convert, and then we're going to put this in here. That's just going to convert this into a string. And then I can say, I should be able to say now. Oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. Sorry. And then I can say df.format. Oh my god, I am losing brain cells by the second. and then I can put that in there and delete that. There we go. So the X will be X, and then df format, and then get the player's X. And then we just need to do the same thing for the Y and the Z. So Y, Z. I'll just change that now. So that's the X, that's the Y, and that's the Z. Get pos Y, get pos Z. Perfect. And then now we have that, we need to make a window and display everything inside of there. So here's how we can do that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and come up here. And where is it? Coordinates, here we go. So I need to take the maximum X, so that's gonna be like the width of it. I need to multiply that by 2 to put it in like the center of the screen. So I'm gonna come back down here. So that's gonna be our width. So I'm just going to say f dot draw, silly me, fill, minimum X is going to be that, so times 2 should be good. Yep, there we go. Actually, I'll do times 2.5f. Let's do that. And I'll cast that to an int, just like that. Perfect. So that's the minimum X. The minimum Y will be 4. And then the maximum X is going to be this, plus max length. I'm going to actually make that max length variable now. So I'm going to do int max length equals 0. And I'm going to say if X is greater than Y. We're going to make an algorithm to find the biggest one. So if X is greater than Y, then max length equals X, else max length equals Y. Sorry, string, no, oh my god. F dot get string width, and then X, and we'll do the same for Y. And there we go. That should get it between X and Y. I need to replace that. Oh my god. Y. There we go. So if X's length is greater than Y's length, then it will be X. Else it will be Y. And there we go. And then I just need to make a case for Z. So if Z is bigger than max length, that means that's the biggest. Otherwise, it's sorted. So if f.getString Z is greater than max length, then max length equals that for Z. There we go. That was rather messy, but that should get the max length. Then we have this, so it's going to be that plus max length, and then so that's the max X, and the max Y is just going to be 14 times by 3. That should work. And then the color, of course, is going to be our gray, so I'm going to come back up here to find that. It should be over here somewhere. There it is. I'll get our neat little gray value and put it back in here. There we go. And then we'll put in the text. So we'll do f.drawString with shadow. And x, the position will be this. So that will be the X. And then for the Y, I'm just gonna go ahead and for the Y position, I'm gonna do 4. Should be, because I set it to 4. Yep. Oh yeah, I'll also need to add 4 to there, so sorry. There we go. And now we'll do the X for us, and I'll also say get rainbow 0. And I'll copy paste that 2 more times. 1, 2. And that'll be Y. And that'll be Z. And the Y will be 4 plus 14. And then 4 plus 28. Perfect. And that should be situated. Alright. And that should do the coordinates for us. Beautiful. So now we have 4 modules. We have coordinates, auto sprint, Fulbright, and flight. Set 4 and 1. So our client will start up. Index will be set to 1 and will handle all of the modules from here. Yep. Alright. If you've managed to follow along, we should be good now. So let's run it. And finally, yep, there we go. Everything seems to be working. So we have Fulbright. I'm going to turn that on first. Yep, our mod menu seems to work. It's right down there. Let's also turn on auto sprint. And for the flight, if you're wondering about that. So there's how that works. Simple, as you can see. It's quite literally flight. As you can see, you can quite literally fly. It is very, very cool. And finally, let's go ahead and test out our coordinates. So I'm going to come back up and click on coordinates. And would you look at that? We have a little window showing our coordinates. And yep, that shall conclude it for the hacked client making. I hope you have enjoyed this series of free episodes. And I hope you enjoy having your Minecraft client all set up. Thank you for watching.